Hey, Matthew. I know we all thought this was a possibility at some point, but how strange is it to have the season come to a halt just as you were starting to get things going?
Yeah, man, it's different. Not usually are you given 4 days in the middle of the year, but I mean, we're going to use it to our advantage. This whole season's just different, right? It's different than anything we've seen before. So with that, we got to be flexible. We got to be vigilant in so many ways, and adaptable, right? We don't write the script, we just respond to it. So in that, we're just going forward and making the most of this time. We had an off day yesterday, which was nice. We weren't going to have one of those for a little bit, so got one a little early, and now we're just using this time to continue to get ready and get ready for Friday.
How optimistic do you and your teammates remain that you'll be able to get this season completed to whatever degree that it's supposed to be completed?
I mean, I think if you're focusing on the rest of the year, that's really where your focus shouldn't be. There's a lot to worry about right now, and a lot to handle right now. The rest of the year will take care of itself. Worrying about it, trying to figure out what's going to happen, it really doesn't do anybody any favors, because nobody knows. There's only one guy who knows, and he's not on this earth right now. So, it's we're just living by today, and make the most of today. If we're awarded the opportunity to come out and practice tomorrow, we'll do that. And that's just how we got to live this life. That's really, we're kind of forced to think that way right now, and that's really how we should be called to live, day by day. So we're going about it that way, and excited for what's to come.
Yeah, thank you, Matthew.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Mickey. Our next question comes from Justin Rose from Channel 7.
Hey, Matthew, how you doing, man?
Hey, Justin.
Hey, is it frustrating from a competitive aspect that, like you said, it's out of your control, but at the same time, baseball players in general are kind of creatures of habit. Is it a little frustrating from that aspect that you have to hit the pause button?
It's just kind of the nature of it right now. I mean, nothing's really going to come from, being frustrated or anything like that, right? You'd rather be playing, but in that you just go, okay, well, we're not writing the script right now, right? We really don't know what's going to happen. We can't control what other teams are going to do, right? We can take care of ourselves. We can take care of our business. We can be vigilant in what we're doing. And, in that, continue down that path and do the best that we can as a team, both on and off the field. And, that's just the world we're living in right now, right? And that's all we can control. We can't control what the Cardinals do. We can't control what the Pirates are going to do. But right now we know what we can do, and we'll do the best at that and continue down that path and push forward with that.
Have you had conversations about staying vigilant and how the Marlins and Cardinals and there might be another team that pops up there, but it's a good reminder, hey, this is in our control a little bit.
Yeah, completely. We have. And kind of when the news comes out, it's I guess it's reinforced, right? It's brought back to the surface. There's more protocols that we're actually implementing as a league as they're coming forth. Nothing's official yet, but and a lot of it's stuff that we're already doing. But it's guys are just doing everything they can to on our team. They're doing everything they can to just stay, give us the best chance to play games, right? That's all we can do. Like I said, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We don't know. I mean, we're day by day, but really that's a testament to how we should be playing a game, whether it's 162 or 60, right? It's too often that we get ahead of ourselves. Too often do we start worrying about, next week and the week after and the playoffs, and we lose sight of where we are today. So, it's a microcosm, and there's lots of lessons to be learned from this. And, we are gonna, we're doing our best to make the most of it and just, be right here and, do everything we can to just get better in these days.
Thanks, man.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Justin. Our next question comes from Tony Paul from the Detroit News.
Hey, Matthew. I just circling back just a little bit to Justin's question. When you guys restarted with the summer camp, was that was talking about personal responsibility and all that. Was that like a focus from day one? And how, like, I mean, were there meetings about that? Or can you give us kind of a little bit of just kind of some insight of how important that was? And if it was a factor right at the beginning, something you guys always talked about right from the get-go?
Yeah, it was. I mean, this was going back into the during the quarantine period when we were talking about the potential plans that were out there, whether it was playing in one of those, playing all in Arizona and the craziness that would have been behind that, or, adaptability that would have been behind that. And then, on the road, being quarantined in the hotel, not allowing anything. So with that, there was always those conversations coming forward. And then when the season started, it was like, hey, we are afforded these liberties to go to the grocery store or order groceries, little things because we're staying at home. But with that, how do we take care of ourselves? How can we be vigilant in this? What does that look like in various circumstances? So, luckily we got guys that are doing well on our team, from, at least everyone's been saying that, there's a lot of ownership on each other, right? We're putting this everything relies on the shoulders of the guy next to you, and that just kind of travels around the league, right? Because there's a domino effect across, or a butterfly effect, I guess, all the way across the league in that. So there's been conversations early, there's conversations late, and there's going to continue to be conversations, I'm sure, because none of us know what will happen in terms of the virus, in terms of our country, in terms of the season. So we're just working and working the best we can at it, and just being adaptable with it,
And then just one follow-up to that. Obviously, you knew from the beginning to make this work, a lot of it was going to be on the players, and the players policing themselves. Is it you guys have done a good job with that. Is it a little disappointing to you guys that there are teams, obviously with the reports of the Cardinals going out and the Marlins going out, is it disappointing to you guys? I know you mentioned you guys can only control what you do and can't worry about the other teams, but is it a little disappointing given that, here you are now with, no games to play for 4 days?
Yeah. The gut reaction is, but the gut reaction is like, oh man, but in that, it's not my place to judge. We don't know what happened, right? There's no official word. So to pass judgment on them, especially not knowing what happened, it's not my place, So with that, you kind of have that reality check and say, oh, well, got to stick with me on this and know that this is just, like I said, we don't write the script. We just respond to it, right? So what's our response to this going to be? Is it going to be, wasting energy on those things that kind of come with that judgment, or is it going to be how can we respond and make the most out of this, right? So that's what we're doing going forward, and it doesn't mean that our thoughts don't go there, but right, it's constantly bringing it back when we realize that's like, hey, this worrying about it or complaining about it really isn't going to change anything. We just got to go do what we know how to do, and how we know how to keep ourselves on the field, right? How can we do that? And that's what we got to stick with, and that's what we've been doing.
All right, thanks, Matthew.
Yeah,
Thanks, Tony. Our next question comes from Jason Beck from MLB.com.
Morning, Matt. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
I know you're a creature of habit, as a lot of starting pitchers are. What do you do now with your start pushed back, I would think at least a few days, if not closer to a week? Do you do a simulated game? Do you just throw extra on the side? How do you handle it?
You just throw a little extra on the side. We threw a little, knowing that Monday was pushed back, we threw a little extra on Sunday. And then knowing that now these next 4 pushed back, we threw it today. In terms of game situation, it's really, it doesn't really matter, game or bullpen. It's just getting off the mound, right? So and getting the work into that capacity. So we've done as much as we can, and staying active and just adapting with it, right? Just kind of resetting the schedule to when your next start will be, and going forward from there.
And so are you guys kind of doing like summer camp workouts for the next few days? Are there inter-squad games set up, anything like that?
I'm sure it'll be a combination of everything. Regardless of how you shake it, there's going to be kind of a long gap for somebody pitching wise. So there will be some simulated games, I'm sure, at least the live ABs or something like that. And there will be, but like today it was just the summer camp workout, right? Doors opened at 7:30. We roll in, get your work in, stretching on the field at 9:30, 10, and it's like spring training minus Guardy's meeting in the morning. So we're making the most of it. It's fun. I mean, we'd rather be playing baseball, but this is the hand that we're dealt right now. So we're just rolling with this.
And have you
playing baseball? I guess I'd rather be playing it, in a game, I guess, something like that. But yeah, this is where we're at, and we're enjoying it.
And have you heard anything either, first of all, about, I noticed those games against the Cardinals were postponed rather than canceled. Have you heard any scenarios under which you guys could make up those games, or is this just kind of leaving options open?
Not yet. I think even the best laid plans right now may be thwarted in the future. You never know how, everything's going to react in the future, right? So I think, who knows, maybe there'll be a doubleheader on an off day. They also have games to make up with Milwaukee too, right? So that's why the winning percentage thing kind of comes into play now in the Central. So it's just we'll see how it shakes out. Luckily, we have a lot of off days going down the stretch. I don't know if any line up, but I'm sure that bridge will be crossed as soon as they can get back on the field. Because I'm sure that there'll be more issues if they miss any more games. So I think priority one is just getting the Cardinals healthy, and then making sure all those guys are healthy and safe, and then worry about making up games.
And lastly, have you heard anything from the Players Association or MLB on making the 30-man roster carry over through the rest of the season? I noticed the Castro move today by the Tigers, which makes me suspect they're going down to 28 on Friday.
Yeah. I know the talks are still just that. They're talks. And I don't know how much traction there are with those right now, but I know they're still talking about it and still negotiating in it. So we'll see if anything comes out from that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. The next question comes from Evan Petzold of the Detroit Free Press.
Hey, Matthew, thanks for doing this. I know you talked a lot about, tempo and pace and trying to find some of those things. How do you kind of feel about that right now? And then, this off period, what does that do for you specifically in regard to pace, tempo, those kind of things that you want to find when you're out on the mound?
Yeah. I feel good about them. Felt good about them after the last start too, in terms of what I knew going forward, what I need to do going forward. Right. You gotta remember a lot of the adjustments that, kind of my perspective on it is there's nothing I need to go learn. It's all inside of me. It's a matter of me having the awareness to know that I'm not doing it and then going forward and making that adjustment. Right. That kind of takes the searching out of it. There's nothing I need to search for or go to try to do something different. I'm going to go into my start and I'm going to go attack one pitch at a time when this time comes around, and something else could pop up. It may not show up. It may not dictate something in the line score. But it's, that's kind of pitching, right? There's always going to be something that you got to be aware of and then bring it back. Sometimes it's just one inning and then something pops up in another inning and then you bring it back. And, it's just understanding where that line that my game is. Sometimes I'm going to be here, sometimes I'm going to be here, but it's having the awareness to know when I'm outside of it to try to bring it back as close as I can, because it's always going to come out, right? There's always going to be things that are going to take you out of your game. You just got to be aware of it and then bring it back. And that's what's going to distinguish, kind of the bigs, ups and downs and all of it. So feel good about that stuff. And it's just, always working at just repeating everything and becoming better at that, having the awareness to know when something does come out.
For sure. And shifting gears to Casey Mize, actually, just asking about him. And I know you got a lot of time to talk to him and stuff like that, especially during summer camp, and mentor him. When you look at the way the season's set up and whether it's this season, next season, whatever it might be, I mean, how excited are you to get this guy up here, to Detroit and continue to get in his ear a little bit and see what he can do on the field?
Yeah. Well, man, first off, I don't know if I'm a mentor. I'm learning from him as well, right? And then two, I know he's going to be here when the time's right. And he's a guy that I know will help our ball club win, whatever kind of aspect he does come in whenever that is, or form that comes in. But he's going to help us win ball games. I know that, and that's really exciting to know that there's a guy down there that can do that. And man, Casey is a professional. The way he goes about a business is very professional. And I am excited to see him in a Tiger uniform when the time comes for him to be in a Tiger uniform. Those decisions are for people that are, in higher positions than me. But in that, he's going to help us win ball games when the time comes. So we're excited for whenever that is. And when a guy of his caliber puts on our uniform, I know everybody's going to be excited. So, it's going to be fun whenever it is. And, keep in mind, though, remember, he's a rookie, right? So there's a lot that comes with that. So it's going to be fun. He's talented. He's going to help us win. But, whenever that time's right, we'll cross that bridge.
Hi, Ron. I'm sure 4 days off, just as you get going, is a little more than you bargained for. From your perspective, what is the most disruptive nature of all of this?
Well, I think in baseball, it's very routine oriented. And when you start interrupting routines, it gets a little hairy. But we've handled this pretty good. Got out there and, today and tomorrow we'll do what we're doing today, get in some good drills and get them swinging, BP, hitting the cages. Just kind of figure out that routine. And then on Thursday, we're going to actually have some live. We might even have some tomorrow, depending on what Andy gives me. Have some live swings off some of our pitchers who need to get out on the mound. So we'll just ad lib and do the best we can with it. You can't control it. So no sense in getting too upset about it. We just have to play it through like we've been told to.
Ron, is there an opportunity here you feel like to get better in some certain areas, or some work on some things that you'd seen through the first 10 games of the season?
Well, working on shifts and all those things. You get to add more of that. We did that today. Did a lot of shift drill with the infielders, getting over there and our sequence and infield back, infield in. There's an infield all the way in, and there's one, a few steps back. So we just went out and showed them exactly that and what we're thinking about, who we're trying to get out. So, yeah, we were able to get some work in those situations. We do it all the time, but once you start playing the games, you kind of get away from that stuff. So we had the opportunity to do it again today.
Thank you, Ron.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Mickey. Our next question comes from Justin Rose from Channel 7.
Morning, Ron. Wondering how disappointing is it? Matthew was just in here talking about players being vigilant and trying to know that the onus is kind of on them to make sure that they're doing the right things. Not to say we know everything that happened with St. Louis to a T, but how much have you been stressing with these guys, especially when these cases pop up with other teams, that, hey, a lot of this is in your control as far as where you're supposed to be and doing what you're supposed to be doing?
Well, an awful lot, and we've had meetings, lots of meetings, and anytime we see something, we have more meetings about it. Just talking about your responsibilities as a player is to your family and everybody and this baseball family, that you have to take care of yourself off the field and do all the right things, the mask off the field, all that stuff, stay inside. It's not easy. I mean, people like to go out and, go to the grocery store every once in a while, and you just got to cut that stuff down as much as you possibly can. You can't eliminate it because everybody has to go get food and everybody has to do those things, but you have to eliminate a lot of it and make it, only when it's necessary. So, and we've talked about it over and over with our guys, and I think they've done pretty good.
And then I know the league put out the rules about the win percentage like earlier on, before really any of the players and the teams had been, gone through this type of thing. But is it a little disheartening to know that, if you don't get these 4 games back with the Cardinals, and you may, but if you don't, that could potentially be something that disrupts your team's ability to make a postseason run?
Well, those are also things you can't control. Would you be frustrated about it? If that's the case, I guess, as you get there towards the end, yeah, you could be frustrated with something like that. But I think we all know we're ad-libbing, as best we possibly can, trying to get through this season. So everybody's in the same boat. You stand with them, and all the other teams have to go through the same rules. As long as everybody's going through the same rules, I guess we're okay. This stuff about winning percentage, I don't know how far they're going to go with that. So we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully we're in a situation where we're close, and that is an option, and that would be fun.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay.
Thank you, Justin. Our next question comes from Jason Beck from MLB.com.
Yeah, morning, Gardy. You talked the other day about getting your rotation sorted out. Does this break kind of give you a chance to reset your rotation and put guys in the spots and in the order that you want them to be?
Well, yeah, we're obviously going to try to adjust. That's what you have to do. We'll probably set Matt Boyd up for, game one, obviously, and then we'll just work it from there. And, we'll see how everything goes. So definitely you have to adjust. And, the problem there being, if you take one guy his turn was up and then we put him back to the back, it's a lot of days. But that's why we're going to do some live stuff out here to get some throwing in with a couple of those guys at the tail end of this rotation. And then we're going to line the other guys up. So make sure everybody gets their chunking into some hitters and try to keep them as best we can. That's all we can do.
Now, when you talk about live stuff, are you guys allowed to bring guys up from Toledo for a day to have like
We can, but we've got our pitchers right here. The bullpen guys might want to throw to a hitter, and the hitters definitely want to face some of our pitchers just to see some live stuff before we get going again. So, yeah, that's an option. I mean, we could bring up players too and actually have a full inter squad, but all the protocol going on and all those things, we're probably just going to use what we have here on the field. Try not to stay out on the field because it seems like when you stay out long, something happens. So probably get on the field, do our work, and get off the field and go from there.
And last question from me. We saw the move with Anthony Castro this morning. Is that related to having to cut down from 30 to 28 players?
Yeah, that's all part of the process. You've got to get down to 28 players, and we're working on it.
So you have one more move to go then, I take it?
Right. If you have to take off two and you take off one, you have to do one more. I tell you what,
it's early in the morning.
You're really quick today.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Lost my head.
Thanks, Jason. Our next question comes from Tony Paul from the Detroit News.
Morning, Ron.
Hey.
I'm just curious. Where is your optimism level that this season will be completed, and has it changed since the beginning of the season?
Well, it's not changed. I mean, we're here to play, and there's a lot going on in the game that I'm as worried as anybody else. I don't think my level of anxiety is any higher than a lot of other people's because I've been through cancer and I've been through a few things like that, the diabetic problem. And so, yeah, it hasn't changed much. I'm fine being here in this clubhouse as long as our guys are doing the right stuff. I'm good with it. I'm happy, and we'll go. It is when you start seeing that, like what happened with St. Louis. Again, you always think about it and you start getting worried. But you know what? I'm not going to run out on these guys unless it gets really bad in our camp. Then I would have a hard time. It would really scare me. So hopefully we do the right things and we're going to be okay. And the rest of the teams will do the right things, and I think they're all trying, so that's what we have to do. Just keep trying, do the best we can.
Yeah. And then lastly, you mentioned the winning percentage, and you said you're not sure how far they're going to go with that. Do you have an idea in your mind what's fair? Like, is a 7-game gap fair when it comes to that? I mean, have you thought about that? Or
well, personally, I don't like it. I think, you either try to play the games, but it's almost might be impossible to get all these games in with all the, the delays that we've had and these things. So you're talking days off, you're being taken away down the road when you might need them, double headers all over the place. But you know what? We're just going to have, I think the commissioner's trying to do everything possible to get these ball games in and get everybody on the same playing field, level playing field. So I think they're throwing all kinds of things out there, and nothing's set in stone because it changes all the time, on and off the field. So, we'll see what they finally come up with at the end. And then, you know what, if it comes out, you have a good season, a good record, and percentage points away, then we'll have something to yell out the rest of the season. I mean, we can scream through the playoffs, the whole package. So we'll just let it play out and see what happens.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay.
Thanks, Tony. Our next question comes from Evan Petzold of the Detroit Free Press.
Hey, Ron, you mentioned some of the, the COVID-19 protocols and restrictions you guys have to follow. Are there any, in the clubhouse at least, any leaders of that, on the team? Are there certain guys that kind of are, taking, at the forefront of just reminding teammates and different things like that? Or is it really a collective effort, or are there some people that are kind of, at the forefront of that, group effort?
Collective amongst the coaching staffs. We're always talking to them about it. players do talk to each other about it. If there's a guy sitting at his locker and you walk by and he doesn't have his mask on, somebody gives him grief. Whether I go walking by and mask, please, right? That type of stuff. But it can be a little fun because you get to blow somebody up. But I think these guys understand how important it is. So I really have a good feel for our guys. They're getting it done.
Awesome. Thank you.
You got it.
Thanks, Evan. From Evan Woodbury from M Live.
Hey, Ron, just a quick question. I know there was some talk about keeping the 30-man roster the entire season. Has that gone out the window, or is that still a possibility of last-minute negotiations?
Well, we're going down to 28, and I would imagine if it, got a little rough and another, it could change. I think it's ever changing. I think day to day, gives you something else to think about. So we're trying to stay at 28. I heard that's what we're going to try to do, stay at 28. But you never know. If stuff starts hitting the fan again, they could go back to 30. I guess that's the beauty of what we're trying to do here is it's actually getting through, and whatever baseball needs to be able to get through this thing, and that's what they're going to try to do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. We'll take one more question for Gardy from Justin Rose, Channel 7. Hi, Justin.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. Just a quick. How impressed have you been with, that 3, 4, 5 spot in your lineup? It just seems like those guys, the free agents you guys brought in, have really come up clutch for this team in the first 10 games on a couple of occasions. How impressed have you been with that group?
Well, that's what we kind of hope for when you add some run producers, to help out Cabby, who's swinging better each day. We know these guys can put it in the seats and give you a 2 or 3 pointer really quick, and that's really important for our team. We really struggled scoring runs last year, so having these veterans that also talk to the younger guys about the pitcher, they see things. It works so many different ways when you have some of those guys like we've got Shupi in them, and it's so important to the younger hitters. They're watching their at bats, they're taking BP with them. And they're talking about, well, what are you trying to do there? Those are great conversations, and we can only get better for them.
And one real quick follow with the strikeouts. You guys, I've faced some pretty good pitchers, going through the Reds lineup a couple of times. But are you sensing a turn of the corner with some of these younger hitters at the plate?
I think they're doing, starting to adjust. I know Joe and Phil in the hitting department are showing a lot more rather technical, get your hands here, all those things. We're watching a lot more video and what a pitcher does with his fastball, where you should be looking on a guy. So I think analytically we're getting better with all the video and all the information that we're getting. I think that's helping them. And as long as they pay attention to that stuff and keep that up, they're going to get better because we have some talented kids. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. We've had some slow starts to a few guys, but I think they're starting to pick it up now. So we'll go from there.